How's it going? David with Comic Book Investments. So I just watched the What If series on Disney Plus, and if you don't know what that is, it's the What If series came out in the late 70s, I believe, and it basically takes main storylines, like really good storylines, like the Fantastic Four, and goes, what if the Fantastic Four never went into space and didn't get their powers? And it goes like that. Or it's one of them was, what if, Hulk 181, first Wolverine, it was like, what if Wolverine killed the Hulk? And then it goes through that whole thing. And and they also had one where it was like, what if the Hulk killed Wolverine? So the stories take place with the Watcher. If you don't know who the Watcher is, he basically watches everything, all multiverses, all everything, but he can't intervene. All he can do is watch. Even though he does talk to people, which is actually intervening, because if he didn't talk to them, the timeline would be different. So that's why he doesn't really make any sense. Like in Fantastic Four 48, he would, when Galactus was coming, he talked about who Galactus was. But because of the fact he actually talked to the Fantastic Four, that changes the whole timeline. Like, imagine it's like, he can't intervene, but it's like, hey, but don't go down that path because there's a booby trap and you'll die. It's like, well, you kind of did intervene, now didn't you? Even though you didn't do anything, you actually talked. So he does intervene, so don't listen to him, he's a liar. But anyways, so it's basically he watches everything and gets to see everything that happens, and he watches the multiverse and everything like that. So it's kind of him narrating the story, and the What If series is basically that. And this is a cartoon version. The animation is more of like 3D. I forget what, I think it's called cell shading, where it's like 3D, but it looks like it's a 2D drawing. And I still like 2D better, personally. But I know it's really expensive and it's harder to do. And I think with this, they can just actors put on like a mocap suit and, just move around and act. And then all of a sudden, it just makes it so much easier, right? So yeah, the art, not bad. Like, you kind of get used to it. I appreciate it because compared to like 2D art, sometimes like anime and stuff like that, it's a character standing, la 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 la, turn, la 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 la, right? And that kind of like bugs me a little bit because it's just like, it's no movement. It's like you're literally watching a still image with a mouth moving, and then it moves. And it's like, that kind of like bugs me a little bit. And I get it. It's really expensive to draw a character every time, so it's a cheap way to do it. So when they do these like 3D images that are like 2D, they're always moving. So like when they're talking, they're like, oh, like every scene, every like frame, they're moving. So it looks a little more realistic, but I still like 2D animation better. So I just wish people would just draw every frame, like, the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. But yeah, so that's what the series is about. The first episode was, what if Steve Rogers didn't become Captain America and Peggy Carter became Captain America? By the way, spoilers. I always do spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, just, don't watch this. So it's interesting. And what they do is they tie it with the MCU, and they kind of do, like, they show the actual Captain America #1 movie. Not the actual movie, but they do a redrawing of it. And then they go, this is the point where a decision was made in branch timelines, right? So they showed that, and then basically Peggy Carter becomes Captain America, and then Steve Rogers is still small and weak, and he actually becomes Iron Man, kind of. And yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Like, I always like the What If series, and they're, one shot, that's it, done. And so it's pretty interesting. Overall, the action was good. It wasn't too kiddish. Like, she literally is killing people. So that's good. Like, I hate it when it's like, well, let's do a war, because it takes place World War II. Let's do a war thing and then throw a grenade, but then they show the people that they survive somehow. Or like, if they're in a plane and they crash the plane, oh, nope, the guy has a parachute, so he's okay. It's dumb. So, but yeah, so they keep it pretty, I guess, PG-13 or whatever. So people die in it. There's no blood or anything like that. But so I'm happy that they did that. Like, they keep it more adult-oriented. They had some jokes, didn't really land. But that's maybe episode per episode. They have all the original voice actors do the voices. So Steve Rogers is actually played by Chris Evans, and so on and so forth. So Sebastian Stan is in it. They make a joke about his arm getting ripped off, which never happens. So, yeah. I mean, if you don't know the What If series from the comics, it's basically an alternate universe where things kind of happen that are a little different. And they're all one-shots, so this is not like a continuous story. It's just like, this episode was Peggy Carter becomes Captain America, and, you know, the next one is I have no idea. But yeah, so I liked it. It was entertaining. It's cool. It's going to be, because episode by episode will be some different what if. So I imagine some what ifs are going to be really good. Some what ifs are not going to be good, depending on the storyline that they try to tell. So, yeah, I would suggest watching it if you have Disney Plus. If you're into like kind of like that cartoon animation stuff, and so it was interesting. I liked it, so I'll continue watching it. Yeah, let me know your thoughts if you already watched it, what you think of it. If you find it interesting or anything like that. They better do a freaking Hulk one, right? He's my favorite character. That's what I want. I want a Hulk versus Wolverine, even though I know they made that animation. It's called Hulk versus Wolverine. And I want that in the MCU as well. I want a full movie of that as well. So it'll be interesting. I don't know all the what ifs. I know they're doing a Marvel Zombies one, which is kind of cool. It comes out weekly, so it's like once a week. What's today? It comes out on Wednesdays, I guess. And I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but I think it'll probably be like 6 to 8, kind of like what they're doing with the MCU stuff. So, all right, let me know your thoughts.